That's right back, Charlie.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always use that active when defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. I mean, like the big man just said there, man. People deluded. I'm back again. Special guest settings, man. Eagle-eyed football. It's Arsenal versus Crystal Palace on Sunday. So I had to get a Palace fan to preview the game. In many ways, it's the Ian Wright derby. How you doing, bro?
I'm blessed. Well, I don't know if I'm blessed in that sense, but our teams.
Save it, man. We're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna get into it. Don't worry.
In the madness. But all in all, life is good, my bro. And thank you so much for the invite as well.
Minor. I checked out your channel. I appreciate you lot's thoughts. I appreciate the work you lot do when you lot, for example, you lot got like, I don't know what you'd call it, but like you have a show with a couple of other people where you lot really go into detail with Palace and everything's going on. That's why I thought it was right to pick your brains. Again, I know obviously about you. For people that would be listening, let them know about yourself, Crystal Palace, well, in relation to why you support Crystal Palace and where they can find you as well. Their info will be in the description as well, people. So follow, subscribe, and do the rest of it.
Yeah, so my name's Rich. One of the hosts of Eagle-eyed Football on YouTube. Being a Palace fan from like young, like when I was playing football myself, I used to go to like a outside youth centre down Ferndale Road in Brixton and that, and they would hand out free tickets to games and stuff. So that was kind of like my first real experience of professional football, and I've kind of just followed them since. My dad tried to move me to like Luton Town and that, but I was like, nah.
You tried it, just weren't working. Favorite Crystal Palace player
of all time? Ian Wright. Now Zaha.
Oh, that's a great way to start this. Do you know what? I'm gonna flip. I've got what I was gonna ask you in front of me. Wilf Zaha, man, he's obviously left you lot, came back, been a great player. His contract and all of this business. Every now and again, he's linked with us, Chelsea, Middle East now. What do you make of him potentially leaving the club?
For me personally, I'll send him away with our blessings, man. Like, he didn't even need to come back to us. When he did, he could have easily, if it didn't work out Man United, he could have found any other club, try and get European football. And he decided to stay. And he's been brilliant for us. He's been brilliant. I can see his legs are going, bless him. You know, he's not like the dynamic winger that he used to be, where he's beating players and stuff. But his finishing had improved under Vieira. You could tell that's something that Vieira worked on with him, even playing him up front, which personally for me didn't work. But of all our forwards, he's probably the best finisher there.
Do you think he'll leave?
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
If you was him, would you stay or sign a new deal? What would you do? It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of another man, but what would you do?
Yeah, it's
sympathize as a Palace fan as well, even if he kept it moving.
You know what it is? Because our board is inadequate, man. Like, there's never any forward thinking. At this stage, I would keep him because I guarantee they have no plan as to who they'll get in next.
Right.
But keeping him may end up costing 200k a week plus. You know what I mean? And that's not money we've got like that. So, you know, no, I'll let him go. We need to move on from him as well, to be honest, as a club. You know, it's a difficult decision, but yeah, he's got to go and just go on to bigger and better things.
Before I ask you on the board, because I see your tweets and a lot of your videos, you're very passionate about your board, but you kind of touched on, you know, goals and things like that. You know, the media, you're a Palace fan, I don't know if you feel the same, but the media kind of talk consistently about Crystal Palace's inability to bag and score goals. Ultimately, that wins games. How big of a problem has that been for your season? Is that really something that holds weight?
Massive problem, because as much as like defense wins you like championships, that's the whole saying and stuff. If you can't score a goal, you ain't winning the game.
Yeah, it's a myth.
Know? Like the most you're going to get is a draw. So I think the problem we had recently, especially, and this was obviously left to Vieira sacking, it's not even like we were creating chances. We went 3 games with no shots on target.
Yeah, that was
mad. But then the Brighton game, in the first 15 minutes, we had 3 chances. Didn't take any of them. You know, And to be fair to Vieira, he's been calling for a striker. Like, I know we've got Edward and Mateta, but even still, he's been like, I need a striker. Like, the Premier League's so ruthless that if you're not clinical,
you're not picking up 3 points and you're in a sticky situation. You're right, still. So what again, to kind of carry this on, this conversation, like you mentioned the board, and as I said, I've checked out your content. You're very passionate about the board and their inabilities and whatnot. Where do you start, man? Take like all your thoughts as an ignorant non-Crystal Palace fan. Like, man, just paint a picture, bro. I don't like, yeah.
All right. I'm going to take you through a journey from last season to this. And
yeah, man. Take us through this journey, bro.
Everything about how inadequate our board is. We signed Patrick Vieira from the he took over from Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson, 2 backs of 4, 4-4-2, counter
standard stuff, yeah.
And if we're 1-0 down, it's not let's attack to get another goal. It's let's bring an extra midfielder or defender so we don't concede more. That was his mentality. Vieira comes in, all of a sudden we're attacking. It's like, what? It was crazy. It was so good.
Yeah, because you know, flying high at the start of the season, man.
Even like last season, flying high, he got backed in the summer, brilliant window. January window comes, he's not backed. Summer, he's not backed. And then January again, he's not backed. So our hands were tied. His hands were tied. His hands were tied. Parish and the board, they're so inadequate. Like, it's almost as if not that they want to see us fail. That's harsh. But like, we take a step forward, and then it's like 2 steps back. We've built this Category 1 academy. We've got a manager who wants to promote youth, wants to promote a progressive football, and we're not supplying him the backing. It is ridiculous.
You're stifling the progress ultimately.
100%. And what makes matters worse, I don't know if you've heard reports, they're looking at bringing back Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, man. What do you even make of that as well? Like, because that, like you just said about 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
It's a massive step back.
Yeah. It just seems like you're not scared and just thinking about safety. God, with the safety.
It's a panic move. It's a panic move. Like, don't get me wrong. He's got experience, so he could. And this is the thing, it's not guaranteed. He could keep us up in the division. But at the same time, he got relegated with Watford last season.
And he's been retired as well. So like,
and he's been retired. Let the man rest. Let the man rest. Listen, for me personally, look, I had written off tomorrow's game anyway.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, bro.
Yeah, it was going to be difficult anyway. So I'm thinking, in my head, I was thinking, give Vieira the Leicester game after the international break. If he doesn't win that, fair enough. But if they were going to sack him, which they have, knowing that there's an international break coming up, why have they rushed to go and decide that Roy Hodgson should be the man?
Does that scream there's a lack of options then?
I mean, there are actually. There's a lack of good options. There's options.
Yeah. Crucially, put asterisks on that sentence. Facts.
But use the 2 weeks to find a better option. Because me personally, I get they want to just have someone until the end of the season. Great. But then we're back to square one come the summer because we're going to be searching for a manager.
Fact.
I don't think Roy Hodgson was the one. And I think the whole fan base is they're infuriated by it.
What do you make of, before I ask you about Patrick Vieira, what do you make of this relegation race? Because on the face of it, as you said, you lot were flying high, you're playing well. As Arsenal fans, we want to see you lot doing well. There's a bit of bromance going on. You then hit the turn of the year, well, really off the back of last year, potentially struggling to win. You mentioned shots on target, pressure on Mikel Arteta, on Patrick Vieira. Yeah, where you at with it, man? Like, where you at of this in terms of this relegation race? Because you lot are 12th. There isn't too much points separating 12th from 20th. I think you lot are calm, but you can make a case for everyone could stay up, could go down and things. It's kind of an entertaining one when you're a bit of a privileged fan and kind of just watching it as a spectator, man.
Yeah. For the neutral, it's brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic, I can't lie.
For all the teams there, from us all the way down to Southampton, we're all bricking it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, a lot of our fans, and including me, I'll say it was like, don't worry, we're not going to get sucked in. We just need to navigate this tough run of fixtures, which include Man United twice, Brighton twice, Man City, you're coming up, Newcastle, Liverpool, Brentford. Those are Chelsea. Those are the fixtures we've had. It's been crazy. We've got some decent draws out of there, lots of defeats. Fair enough. We just needed to navigate those games, and your game's the last one in that run. The problem is the teams beneath us actually have picked up some points. Bournemouth beat Liverpool. Nottingham Forest got points against
Southampton came back today, and I think Leeds beat Wolves,
Newcastle.
which is a
Southampton's got
six-pointer as
picking
well.
up points. Everton's picked up a couple of wins. You know, West Ham and Leeds are finding a bit of form. So it's a problem we're having. The biggest problem is that the other teams are picking up points, and that's why it's 3 points. You know, so we're right in it. We're right in this relegation battle, and then after we've got like Leicester, Leeds, Southampton, Everton. Then
Playing everyone in the
West
same
Ham,
situation.
Everyone that's in that cluster, minus Tottenham, we've got like 10 of I think 9 of the 10 games are teams around us.
Oh, with 11 games left for working.
Every game is a 6-pointer. And if you're not scoring goals, who's going to tell you? You can't go and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to win those games." We can't score.
What has been the issues though? Like in terms of not scoring, is it creativity? Is it simply chances? Is it tactics? Is it a bit of everything?
So,
is it the midfield and defense progressing to the final third? What is it? Because for me, on paper, just watching Crystal Palace here and there when you're on TV, you're fairly entertaining. You give everyone a game. You do get the occasional goal. I could understand why you'd say you wouldn't be clinical, but you wouldn't necessarily see this as an ignorant fan. Like I wouldn't be able to see what's going wrong. If it was like you said, Roy Hodgson, status quo, then I could say, yeah, it's not really attractive football. But yeah, I can't see it as a non-Crystal Palace fan. So someone that watches them week in, week out, like where you at with it?
So first thing first, I've obviously mentioned that Vieira wasn't backed, but then Vieira kind of shoots himself in the foot with his team selection. We still got the likes like Jeffrey Schlupp, Jordan Ayew. Like Jordan Ayew scores 1 goal a season. You know,
he normally turns up against us. He scares the hell out of me. I can't lie.
Well, hopefully he does something tomorrow then. But like, you got that. You got like the likes of Mateta who scored 1 goal. Edouard is our second top scorer. He's got 6, I believe. I think Wolf has got 7. But then Edouard and Vieira had a falling out.
Right, over what?
That's still to come out. But I'm gonna guess it's his attitude and stuff.
Wow.
It's like you can tell.
It was a happy camp over there, man.
Yeah, there's so much going on behind the scenes. I think that the issue, he's had that similar issue at Celtic as well, where I don't think he trains well.
Oh, so you can
Like
see why that
him
would
banging in goals for Celtic kind of was like, okay, we'll kind of brush it under the carpet sort of thing. Obviously Vieira don't want that. Like, he wants players to work, and like we end up. That's why he's been playing Wolf up top, and sometimes Jordan Ayew, who hasn't scored goals, but we know he works hard. So it's a collection of errors. Like in-game tactics as well with Vieira, he'll take off the wrong players or he'll start the wrong team and stuff like that. So this year, granted he didn't get the back in, he still could have done better with who we have. You know, and I think that's what's eventually led to a second.
Do you think that he's been let down by the players somewhat?
I think they stopped playing for him.
Swear. Why? Why and when?
The when is hard, you know.
That's why I had to ask, man, because it's like, because again, as an ignorant non-Crystal Palace fan, I can't say I saw it. Like, so it's like I'm just trying to like paint a picture for myself. Really, I can't.
The why I won't be surprised if the whole Edouard situation played a part. You know, and not only that, Eze's been dropped as well in games as well, and you know, like they're man them in it. Like,
Like, just take one guy. I don't like Vieira, then I don't like Vieira, then suddenly everyone's down in
guy, like sort of thing. So I think the why, those are the whys, and like I said, the likes of Ayew and Schlupp are playing each week. Some of those players are thinking, why are they starting?
How you hearing it? It's just,
so the why, I think I can understand. The when is the difficult one. I reckon it was the 4-0 defeat at home to Spurs.
Why would you say that? Oh, you know what? That game annoyed me from you lot, man.
Because we capitulated
4-5 in the first half, man.
Yeah, because we should have been up in the first half. Second half,
should have scored 4-5 in the first 45.
We just capitulated. From that moment, I was just like, this ain't good.
Yeah.
That we literally just switched off. So yeah, I'm gonna say the Spurs game, I think.
Could you see it coming with Vieira? Like long before he obviously got the sack. Like, did you get a feeling of eventually he was going to get it? If you overcome this bad run, then fine. But
I think he was going to at the end of the season anyway.
Wow.
You know, for me, if you've got a board that's not backing the manager, there's one of 2 reasons: either there's financial issues, or the board don't trust the manager. And there was rumors coming out that like Parish wanted Vieira gone from February last year. And February
what's really gone on behind the scenes? He's done well to stay then, really. My word, that's a madness. Do you feel a bit like, because I know a lot of football fans feel like it, but do you think it's a sort of thing where, to a degree, whatever manager comes in is kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because of like how you feel about the board? They're kind of crippled already. A bit like you mentioned Spurs, they've had Jose and Conte, blank CVs. You speak of both their managers, more trophies than we could count in however long we're here for. So is any manager kind of doomed to fail at Crystal Palace?
Yes, this is the biggest issue I've had with the Vieira sacking, rightfully or wrongfully, however we see it. And Vincent Kompany came out and he summed it up perfectly. He said, wait, you've got a project here. The project hit a tough run with a tough run of fixtures. Granted, and I do admit, like I said, the football we play was dire.
Yeah, there's question marks over Vieira naturally, of course.
Yeah, so that's fine. But what manager up and coming is going to come in knowing that they can't build something? You know?
Yeah. And if they do, if someone does sign for your club, you reckon, is it because of the right premises then?
This is it. So the board have literally, I think they screwed the club over making this decision. And in the long run, short term, fair enough, because like I said, things weren't going well. But the long run, managers might be thinking, can I trust this board? Would the board back me?
Yeah. Would they protect me? Because obviously we had Mikel Arteta and we haven't achieved anything yet, but it's somewhat looking all right. There's been some dark days, you probably know as well, but they kind of retained faith. And based 100%. On what you're saying, it doesn't appear that will be the same luxury afforded.
This is it. And also to add the fact that there's players that have come in because Vieira was the manager.
Yeah, that's also
so they may
Lokonga as well.
Yeah, they may want to leave. Other players might be thinking, the next manager might not have the pull as Vieira did and stuff. So this, I don't know where we go from here, man. We have to get a proper, renowned manager who's good with youth and so on and so forth, who attract quality players as well. Because all the teams around us, they're strengthening and we're standing still.
What do you think is because you kind of mentioned it? What do you think is the long-term ambitions for Crystal Palace? Is it just Premier League safety then? Because obviously you've seen what Brighton are doing, pushing for Europe, and Fulham at this moment in time. Like, where do you have it then? Because it seems like it's just stability. Because as you said, if a new manager comes in, you might not necessarily be backed. You might not be able to be as ambitious as you could. You might be limited really with what you've got in front of you. So, like, what is the ambition of the fans, and what is the ambition of do you feel of the football club and those that run it?
The fans are frustrated. Like, we've been in the Premier League 10 years. And where's the progress? You know, we're literally like, we're happy to be in the Prem sort of thing. That's how it feels. So when Vieira stepped in, we're thinking, oh my gosh, look at this brand of football we're playing. We're now thinking forward. We're like literally top 10, possibly Europe. That's now what we're thinking. Wow, we the way we're playing, we
might be able to do a thing, yeah.
We might be able to get there and stuff. Obviously, when he's not getting backed, we're thinking, what is going on? What is the actual ambition of the board? And it's such an issue right now. If it's just Premiership safety, just get us relegated. What's the point of being in the Prem? What is the point?
Yeah, I've never thought I'd hear that. Damn.
No, because realistically, we're going to be damned if we do, damned if we don't. Because the Premier League, you need investment.
Yeah, or you're going to stagnate and get lapped.
Listen, I hate the fact I'm saying this, but look at Brighton.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid not mentioning them as well, but I thought I had
their model is phenomenal. Amazing.
It's immaculate. You can't lie. It's great.
And peep this. They sacked Potter, who did a great job for them, in my opinion. The Zerbi's doing better.
Yeah. It looks like that Chelsea done them a favor at this moment in time. It looks like Chelsea got the wrong guy, yeah.
Not only that, look at the players they signed, 3, 4, 5 million. They're getting sold for 50, 60, 70.
They're rejecting 70-odd million bids from us in January. It's crazy what they're doing.
Yeah, we're keeping all our players and they're going off on free transfers.
That's one thing that shocked me about Palace. Like, you love turnover.
It is a mess. The last time we made money off a player was Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. Good move to Man United, to be fair, but that's only
the
one.
Last time we made money.
So you're right, man. I mean, you know, the board isn't sounding too great. Obviously, before I kind of ask you, in fact, you know what? Before we get into the game, you mentioned, because we're mentioning Zaha and selling players and potential and all of that. What do you make of Olise and Eze, man? Because For me, Olise is a terrific player. I think, it's not just for him now. It's not just about being a good player. You've got to be that Olise that is a match winner every week, and those fine margins. Like, obviously, he gave away the penalty. He weren't alone against Man United when you lot played them, but he didn't do his job defensively when they scored. I like him a lot as a player. I think for me, out of him and Eze, I think Olise is the one, man. I like Eze, but I just think Elise's got something about him, man. That's a good. As much as we criticize your board throughout this video, 8 million quid for him, gonna make top bread on him really when the time comes. What do you make of them two?
They're unbelievable players, honestly. Eze hasn't really kicked on this year, and I feel like his injury last year didn't help. He didn't help, but he's still got, I think, 3 or 4 league goals.
See, so that just tells
maybe
you
even 5. It's not actually a bad turnover considering he hasn't started many games. Olise though, unreal.
Yeah, he's cold. He's actually
unbelievable. Cold. He's dragging us out of like difficult situations. You saw the free kick against Man United.
Clutch.
When we played, who did we play recently? And he literally, Liverpool, he took the game by the scruff of his neck. He was everywhere. He was so good. And that's even with Vieira playing him out of position in the 10 position, because obviously he's naturally a right winger. So they're both amazing talents. And honestly, I just want to see them on the pitch more together, just given the freedom to just do what they're doing. And that's why I'm happy we got Sambi in on loan, because we were relying too much on Chet Decore. He was just doing too much work in the middle of the park. And Sambi's come in. I think he's been a breath of fresh air for us. He's helped Decore defensively as well, which allows the forward players to just play. Now it's just time for them to put the ball in the back of the net, please.
You mentioned Lokonga, man. I want to ask you a couple more questions. Obviously, he's just signed for your football club, literally. What have you made of him? What have you made of him on the football pitch? What do you think he could do good? What do you think he's done bad? Everything, really. Do you think he's an 8 or a 6? Like, really? Because that's a lot of these things is the things we as Arsenal fans are still trying to work out. And I'd also like to ask you, does he look confident? Because that's the biggest gripe with me and Lokonga. I think if he looked a lot more confident and believed in himself, whether he's good or not's another question, but you would see a massively better player.
Yeah, he's been a breath of fresh air, like I said. He's so comfortable on the ball. His spatial awareness and everything is really, really good. He seems like he's playing with a smile on his face. Obviously, Vieira's put an arm around his shoulder, just allowed him to play, really. Things that are good, driving with the ball. Defensively, he was actually a bit better than I thought he would be.
Gonna have to, innit? You're gonna have to really you lot are on the table. There's no hiding place. You ain't got party next to you.
His ability to drive with the ball, his passing range is really good. What I would say he'll need to work on his physicality, I'll say. And stuff. He can get rushed off the ball a bit too easy. And sometimes, it's not all the time, because like I said, defensively been decent, but he can switch off.
Another issue. We had that in the FA Cup, and like Odegaard going mad at him. And
it's I think playing for a club like us where we're constantly going to be defending, I think that's going to help him with his like defensive awareness and so on and so forth, because he has to be switched on.
I agree with you, man. And I think Palace was the best club for him. Obviously, you lot got hella mandem. You lot make it noisy home and away, so that could help getting players around you. You lot got a good mentality. He's provided with games. Obviously, the manager's changed now, but I think it's a good loan. I personally feel if it hits off, and I don't know what the new manager's saying and how he utilizes him, I know Arsenal are probably going to be in the champs, but I'd let him stay for a full season, have a pre-season, let him do what he needs to do, or at least put yourself in the shop window to move on permanently. Where's he kind of played with you lot? Either a 6 or an 8? Who's he played with in midfield, and what's kind of been his job?
So he's kind of played in a pivot with Decore, but I would say him more as an 8 because he has got that license to go forward. And it's literally his role is pretty much just be that link to the 10, which has normally been Olise recently. Just get the ball forward to him as quickly as possible, get up the field if he can as well, and such. But obviously be switched on defensively. And I think he's done it majority for the majority of his time with us. He's done it well. I think the one game where it was a bit off was Villa because they pressed really, really well.
Yeah,
and stuff. He did find it a bit difficult, but it's good that he had that game out of the way, because then when we played against Brighton on Wednesday, he dealt with the press a lot better in a sense. So you could tell that he's learning from his mistakes and stuff.
Learning on the job.
Yeah, it's a good attribute to have.
That's a good. I mean, for me as an Arsenal fan, that's good to hear, because that's all I want to hear from him, the Maitland-Nileses, and all the other players on loan, that they're at least becoming important to their loan clubs. Because I always say, you know, we can't always, for me as an Arsenal fan, I can't look at the premise of him being an Arsenal player. Like, you need to give your all to Crystal Palace, get your first name on the team sheet. You're not going to be playing for no reason. And obviously, not saying your fans necessarily do this, but if a player on loan necessarily joins your club and he's not doing these things, and especially like you said, you're in a relegation battle, you could say he knows he's running off at the end of the season back to Arsenal. So it's a bit of a myth in that regards. But look, to kind of wrap this up here, I would say to you, what talk to me about the game tomorrow, because for me, I'm not going to lie, respectfully, we need to bounce back against Sporting Lisbon. We need to pick up 3 points. We need to go into the international break without an L. But I'm always nervous against you lot. I think, you know, with Saliba potentially being injured, I think there's an avenue for that. I think we've kind of had issues on the transition and set pieces. You're a kind of team to exploit that. You've got the Ezes, the Olises, the Zahas, the so on and so forth. So I do think it will be a more of an even game than given credit for. Again, I'd love to be wrong, but yeah, I'm kind of nervous going into Crystal Palace, if I'm honest. As you said, you're fighting for your lives. We've got you lot, Leeds also doing the same thing, and then a trip to Anfield. So for me, it's 3 very crucial games. But yeah, what do you make of tomorrow then?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous more so just as to what the goal difference could be, because I expect you to bounce back. Obviously, the disappointment Thursday evening in the Europa League, and you had a few knocks as well. So that might help us in a sense, because like Saliba has been brilliant this season. I mean, for Tomiyasu, you got Ben White, so that's all right. And then also the likes of like Partey, Odegaard, they had to come on, obviously.
Yeah.
So which was not the best.
And we had to play an extra half an hour as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So, but at the same time, I think now the league's the only thing you're fighting for. Correct me if you're wrong.
Yeah. Wow, everything
I
else.
think it's going to really spur you lot on, and we may end up being the whipping boys because of it and such. So we might get a new manager bounce. I don't know. We might.
See, this is what I'm scared of, man, because we've done that with Everton, bro. We done that, and it needs to be business as usual. What did you make of us? Because again, like my final question for you, actually, because I should have actually asked. What was the first game of the season like? Because another game, very nervous. Probably played you at the right time. Everyone's trying to settle for pre-season. But what did you make of the away game? Well, Arsenal away, if you can remember. You lot at home. You
know what? First 15, 20 minutes, I was there at Sellers Park, and I was just like, raw. Like, you, man, were bopping it like crazy. The overloads, Zinchenko finding himself in centre mid. It was mad. Like 15 minutes, I looked at it, I was like, we can't cope. And you deservedly took the lead. Granted, after 15 minutes.
Yeah, I started getting a bit shook.
I think we did okay. Edwards could have scored before half-time. Then straight after half-time, Eze should have scored. You know, and I feel it was a more even game.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, we're pushing for the equaliser. The second goal was very unfortunate. Was it Gay own goal?
Yeah, something like that. It helped us out a lot. We'll take them as we can get them, man. But yeah.
It was against the run of play, I would say. So it was disappointing, but I would say that first 20 minutes, I was just like, raw, Arsenal nuts.
And that's what kind of gives me a bit of nerves. As much as Arsenal give me apart from the mishaps throughout the season and the obvious, they've given me every reason to be confident and have confidence. So I am relatively confident, not just because it's Crystal Palace, but just how we've been playing. I do feel at home is where we kind of do the nonsense, the dramatic games, the silly goals, the having to react to a goal down and all of that sort of stuff. Obviously, I look at someone like Rob Holding. Now that I said that, regardless of whether we win, lose or draw, he'll probably be our best player now. And for Arsenal fans listening, it's not that I don't believe in the guys. Just logically speaking, if you're Eze, Zaha, whoever, that's the area you're going to target. Because I remember Saliba and Zaha on occasions in that game, they had 1-2 little battles. And Zaha got the best of him sometimes, but at crucial moments, Saliba made important blocks. I'm not saying Holding can't do that. It's just Holding pulled into wide areas, which is going to happen. You're going to have to help Benjamin White. Scares me. And with Holding, he likes to get tight. He's not the quickest, so he likes to get in tight, try and make the foul or nick the ball. Saliba and Gabriel like to do that. More so Gabriel. But if you skin them, they can kind of recover their positions and kind of guard the situation. So this is kind of it for me. And I'm always wary of teams fighting for their lives because, as you know, with football, you can feel what you feel. I can feel what I feel. Football has a funny old game of just showing us that it might not be that. So it's these sort of things that make me a bit nervous, and the fatigue aspect. And I don't know if my players I don't think they are. I don't know if they're feeling sorry for themselves, bro. What do you say?
No, you're spot on there, and that's the one aspect that we may have to look to capitalize. 120 minutes, it's hard work, and that was just obviously Thursday night, and then it's not even like it's a Sunday 4:30 kickoff.
2 p.m.
It's the 2
quickly,
p.m. kickoff,
quickly,
you know, so-
quick turnaround.
So those 2 hours could play a factor as well. But look, we've got Paddy McCarthy in charge. He's the under-21 gaffer. He'll be in charge of this game. We're expecting Hodgson to take over for Monday. It hasn't been signed and confirmed yet, but that's what we're expecting. And I guess all these, as long as we show heart Sunday,
Minimum.
a bit of fight, try and get a goal somehow. I'll be happy.
What would you say? Final question to you then. What would you go for score predictions? I have to back my club, even though I'm always nervous for Palace. I'm gonna say 2-0 Arsenal, man. Like just get it done. Martinelli and someone weird, I don't know, who's not known for scoring historically. Benjamin White again or something, man. What would you say? Score prediction? Just something weird, man. Someone unlikely hero sort of thing.
Well, to be honest, we're a club that always gives players who hasn't scored in a long while a chance to score. So that's.
Oh, we do that as well, man. Don't worry, man. I'm here in great company.
I'll say 3-1, and I'm basing this with the fact that I feel like Saliba might not play.
This is my biggest.
I don't know how much of a guarantee that
He's
is.
withdrawn from France.
Oh snap!
It's rumors, it's rumors, it's whispers and things. But if he has withdrawn from France, obviously he could play because there's rumors on Arsenal's end that it's a late fitness test. There's rumors that came out actually before we started recording this that he's to withdraw from the French side. Now I hope he's able to play tomorrow, and he's told a little white lie that I don't want to play for France. But I'm inclined to believe if they've been given word because he was called up like literally on the same day that he doesn't play tomorrow. And obviously Holding's got, for anyone that listens and doesn't understand me, Holding's got all my support and things, but the reality is it's a drop-off in quality, actually, to the point where not necessarily with Holding. I know we brought a centre-back in January, but I'm starting to believe in the summer now, do we look at another right-back who can fill in where Holding is, but obviously of a better standard? Can you bring in another right-back and potentially actually make Tomiyasu a centre-half? So it's an interesting one. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be great for the neutrals, man. And I appreciate you for obviously being tuned in. Before I let you go, let them know where they can find you and all the social media handles. His info will be in the description, people, of the video, so check that out. Or better yet, the team from Eagle Eyed Football. So yeah, let them know where they can find you, bro.
Now, once again for obviously reaching out. I've got to have to shout out Brush as well for like tagging me in your tweet as well.
Come on, man, I appreciate that. That's why I asked, man, to find real honest people like yourself.
The fact that you're looking to obviously just engage with people, like, it's amazing, man. So really, thank you once again. That. But yeah, you find us at Eagle Eyed Football on YouTube, Crystal Palace content and such. Just ride with us for the rest of the season, boy. It's going to be a rocky one.
Nah, man, I'm backing you lot to stay up, man. You know what? It'd be lovely if you lot could kind of do. Do you remember a few years ago when Tevez kind of saved West Ham? If Lokonga can save you lot, it's fantastic. Hopefully you lot don't get in that, man. I think you lot will be good, man. But I can't tell you that because you're seeing the table for yourself. But I think you lot are calm, man. I think Bournemouth are gone. I think Forest will draw themselves out. On one hand, I think Southampton are gone, but then I think they'll get out. I don't know, man. I just feel Palace got enough, man. I know it don't look happy, bro, but I think you lot calm, man. It will take you lot to the wire. You might lose your nice hair by the end of the season, but boy, I don't know, man. But we'll have to see, man. Love for tuning in, my guy. I appreciate it. Let me let you get off.
No, pleasure.
Come on, my guy. Bless. People, as I said, make sure you're subscribing and whatnot and hitting up all the socials, support the movement. But for now, we're out, man.
There's always that active red line defenders. I think it's like